This is the newest album from Scandroid, aka Clayton, aka Cell Dweller, aka Circle of Dust, aka FreakGen. It has been 3 years since the last full-length release of a Scandroid project, that being Monochrome, which I think is the best Scandroid album by far. I loved every bit of it, from the conceptual cyberpunk aesthetic, to the soaring ballads, all the way to the thriller and force theme covers. Naturally, I was very eager to hear what was next for Scandroid, and over the last 2 winters we were treated with 2 separate EPs, one being the Darkness and one being the Light. The 2 EPs are being accumulated into one full-length project, so in theory this has been an album like 3 years in the making, and I have already heard like 14 out of the 19 tracks on this album, leaving 5 new ones that are completely fresh to me. In regards to the songs themselves, there are a ton of great songs here. I love the power chord driven rebirthing theme of Phoenix, the shadowy, opaque, progressive, dark synth pop of The End of Time and ONYX, both of which are fitted with looming darkened atmospheres with engaging melodies and rhythms. Writings on the Wall immediately reminds me of like Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics, with the strobing synth work and catchy melody. Awakened is a hushed song that doesn't reach the soaring heights of other tracks on here, but the density and sonic storytelling more than make up for it in that regard. The over-the-top glitz and glam of Time Crime sounds like a soundtrack to like a time heist movie set in the 80s. New York City Nights is easily my favorite track on the album. The nocturnal, mysterious wonder of the track is well realized, especially paired with the dynamic, effects-lathered vocals and that freaking saxophone. It feels like I am being taken for a tour as I am surveying the underbelly of an opulent city, showing me the sights and sores of what this place have to offer. I like the trance that the track Purified puts you under, with the low-end chords and blissful vocals during the refrain. There are also featured guests on here that are not other projects of Clayton, which is a first for this project. The track Less Than Zero with King Protea is a hardened synth pop track, while Dark Tide with Megan McDuffie is much more grand in its scale. It's very cinematic with how expansive the soundscape is, and both Clay and Megan deliver some great vocal performances here too. The instrumental tracks are great as well. Red Planet is like an adventurous dark synth track that sounds like a sentient planet doing everything it can to keep you from escaping. Limelight sounds like the intro card to a futuristic TV show, and Out of the Darkness is an eerie track that sounds like the overwhelming reanimation of an evil android army. Although I adore these tracks, they're not complemented very well with their placings in the track list, which is actually the biggest issue I have with this album. The flow and structure of it is all over the place in regards to the ordered track list, feeling like there is no fundamental cohesion between the tracks outside of the occasional lyrical reference here and there. It's not a bad thing to have an album just be a collection of songs, but given how this is supposed to be a very conceptual album between these 2 motifs, it is pretty noticeable and it lags really far behind in that regard. And while I'm on this note, there were a handful of tracks that didn't resonate with me all that well. Nighttime has probably the lamest hook Clayton has ever written. And the nighttime is the right time. It's very rudimentary, didn't stick with me all that well. I Remember You has elements of like this dreamy haziness that I really like, but it's missing that certain something to really make it stick for me. ASTOR Place has some sick ass synth rock riffage that I really like. I like how heavy this track is in comparison to the rest. I've never been a fan of like the strained whispered yelling that Clayton does for transitional purposes on some tracks, but this entire song is filled with it, and it's just like a repellent for me. And the track Everywhere You Go has a big post-punk edge to it, and I like the fact that Clayton is trying something different here, but I just don't think this sound suits him or Scandroid at all, especially after hearing that beastly remix that Fury Weekend did for this track. The bass form leaves a lot to be desired for me. Overall, despite my gripes with the album's concept and structure not being congruent with one another, this is a really fun album. I had a lot of fun listening to it. There was so much to enjoy and appreciate about it. A lot of the sounds here felt new and refined, and I am very eager to hear what's next. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down below, and I will see you on the next video. I'd give it a